Tour muted.
We've officially made it to the heart of the Dakota Classic Modified Tour in the middle of the week. It's round number 4 at the Williston Basin Speedway. Good evening, race fans, and welcome to our pre-race show, coming to you live from here in Williston, North Dakota. My goodness, what a night it was last night across the border in Estevan, Saskatchewan, Canada. For the second straight night, the IMCA Modifieds went bell to bell in the A feature. And boy, did we have some drama across the board. The stock cars certainly didn't disappoint either. I'm Nick Koberg, joined again by Mr. Ben Deathridge, coming to us from Cottage Grove, Oregon. My goodness, my friend, I don't know if last night could have been much better after round number 2 at Nodak Speedway, which I thought might have been the pinnacle of this tour. This really has been good so far.
It was a great race. I mean, a really good race. We had some great racing last night. Tom Berry Jr. getting his first win at Estevan Motor Speedway with the Dakota Classic Modified Tour powered by Industrial Electric. His 9th career win with the series in the modern era, which we consider 2006 to the present. That ties him with Ricky Thornton Jr. with the most all-time wins with 9 each. He won here last time. We weren't here last year, but 2022, he won this event.
Well, this is a racetrack that is unique. You're turning left almost the entire time. It's a very warm day here in North Dakota on the western edge, just near Montana, just near Saskatchewan. Not a far drive down from Estevan here today, but we get a little further south and it seems to be warming up just a bit. So was the points hunt in both of these battles. We'll go through that here in just a moment, but back to last night. Was there any real big surprises in your mind other than Colin Hibden in the modifieds and maybe Baca not making the A main?
I mean, there were some surprises, like you hit on there, with a couple drivers not making the feature. But I think what was really cool, Ethan Broxma, holy smokes, he is in winning form here. Although he hasn't won yet, I mean, he's gotten second the last 3 nights. Saturday night, of course, didn't count for anything, but some good track time and getting some data to set things up for Sunday. It was a strong second on Sunday at Nodak Speedway. And then last night, I mean, an 8-2 run, plus 6. There was only one other driver that did that. That was Josh Rogotsky, who had to come out of a B main that went, 23rd to 17th. Those 2 drivers were charging hard last night.
In the stock cars, that may have been the show of the night, however, with the front 2 in Brands and Shelby Williams. They went side by side for the majority of that A main, all the way down to the final lap where it was Brands that threw everything, including the kitchen sink, at Shelby Williams towing up all the way from Texas. But it was Shelby that ended up in victory lane. That really was kind of a showstopper race in the stock cars, wasn't it?
Oh man, that last lap, Austin Brands trying to go as close as possible to the bottom. It's a little treacherous on the bottom with Estevan Motor Speedway. We really didn't touch too much on that until later on, but man, those white tire rhythm section, holy smokes, it'll chatter your teeth.
Yeah, it certainly did, and Jay Schmidt found that out the hard way last night. He was a runner that was trying to get to the front. It sucked down towards the bottom just a bit, but overall, that racetrack, I shouldn't even say that it sucked down towards the bottom, because there was racing all the way in grooves 1, 2, 3, and 4, sometimes 5, all the way up that racetrack. It certainly didn't disappoint as a race surface, did it?
It absolutely didn't. I've been impressed with both these tracks. It's my first time to either of these facilities, and they're big tracks, 3/8 miles, but they race as if they are quarter miles or third miles.
Let's look at the stock car points in the top 8 right now, coming into round number 4 here of the Dakota Classic Modified Tour, powered by Industrial Electric. In the stock cars, we'll get to those points. Let's look at the finish first from last night. Shelby Williams in first. It was Brands in second. Starry went plus 11 last night, getting up to third. He had another nice run. The number 2 car of Kyle Schulp, the hometown kid from Estevan, Saskatchewan, with a nice run last night. Top 5 for Zach Madrid. Rob Van Mill ends up in 6th. He didn't move from his starting spot in last night's stock car A main. Chase Davidson, another hometown driver in the 20 21C. He went plus 12 to finish 7th. And Dan McIntoon had another nice run. He went plus 12 as well last night. The players rose to the top when it was all said and done.
Well, what's crazy is we had 3 drivers pass more than 10 cars. None of those 3 were even the hard charger. McIntoon, Davidson, and Starry. They had great runs. It was Gary Gowdy Jr. starting dead last and went plus 13, finishing 11th. Almost a top 10. Man, that was an incredible race that he had on his hands.
Another sidebar in the stock cars. We saw one of our worst wrecks that we've seen in quite a while with Chris Hortness last night. Glad to see that he was okay, but boy, that was a vicious ride.
That was wild and crazy how he got kind of sandwiched in between 2 cars. The rear end came up, so he had no way of slowing down. It was all sort of in the Lord's hands at that point, and that rear end just getting tore up the way it did. But I said it last night, and I'll say it again tonight. These race cars, the way they're designed for safety measures, it went in full effect, and he was able to walk around under his own power. But no doubt that was a wild ride, and hopefully that's the last time we see anything remotely close to that.
Yeah, we don't like anything red by any means. We talk about the highs and lows so often of the sport that we love so much in dirt track racing, and that was certainly a low, but maybe not as big of a low as what we saw from Colin Hibden last night after an emotional victory in round number 2, the opening night due to the rainout at Jamestown. Hibden wins Nodak. He doesn't get through the B main or his heat race last night and doesn't even make the show. That's a real low for him. Do you expect to see him bounce back here tonight in the modifieds?
I think he'll come back swinging. I mean, it's just one of those deals. It's just the nature of the beast, in which is the Dakota Classic Modified Tour powered by Industrial Electric. These drivers, one night could win, the next night they could have a horrible heat race and be done for the night. And it just shows you how stacked these fields are. We're having B mains that have super national championships, national championships, regional championships, tour wins, tour championships, track championships, big money wins, and they're not even getting in the show.
Well, one of those guys that didn't last night was a hometown favorite in Estevan, Aaron Turnbull, the 21 car. The fun fell out of the fun machine back in his heat race. He ended up driving his dad's car, Ed Turnbull's car, last night. He does not get into the A-main either. He was a favorite coming in. He's the last local driver, quote unquote, coming to us from Estevan to win this tour back in 2013. His brother, however, started on the pin last night in the A-main. He didn't finish there because that was Tom Barry's Jr.'s job last night, as Tom really put it on him at the end after lap traffic developed a bit.
Yeah, oh my goodness, a 4+ second advantage. He was just cruising as if somebody was on his bumper the whole time, and lap traffic really, I think, made the difference. He was aggressive in lap traffic. He didn't use anybody up by any means, but he knew that he had to go. He knew that he couldn't wait a split second to toy around and figure a way out. He just had to figure it out on the fly.
Well, the Rage chassis have been good on this tour as well. It's Broxma that finished second last night, a +6 like you mentioned. Justin O'Brien had a top 3 last night in the 12J car. Sean Strand from Mandan finished in 4th. He had a good run last night. Cody Laney gets into the top 5. After Laney, we saw the, where do we have here? Tyson Turnbull finished in 6th, so he ended up starting first, got all the way inside the top 10 last night. Not a bad run for Tyson Turnbull by any means. It was Tim Ward that ended up in 7th, Eddie Bellick in 8th. All the way back in 10th was the 02 of Cody Shope. Steve Pfeiffer, a local shoe, good at Estevan, finished in 9th. Another notable note, Travis Hagen got into the top 12 last night, finishing in 12th. He comes now to his home track here at Williston Basin Speedway, and there's nobody on a local show that even comes close to touching Travis Hagen on most nights.
Yeah, Travis Hagen, for those of you that are watching IMCA TV that don't know about this cat, he has 8 driving championships at this facility, including the last 3 years. So he is one fierce competitor here at this facility who I think could very well be a favorite. I mean, he finished 5th on Sunday at Nodak, and he is going to be hungry for a win. We say all that. He's never won here, though, with the tour, though.
Yeah, he has not, and he's a guy that took second on this tour last year. And for anybody, like you mentioned, that doesn't know that name, he was in the Super National show last year. He went up +19 to get a 14th. He's looking to defend the home turf here this evening. Speaking of the home turf defense on this tour, your thoughts on how these local guys have showed out so far this week?
You know, one guy that's really shown out to me that I think has been exceptional, Isaac Sundrell. He's made 2 for 2 so far, finished 23rd at Nodak, and we were talking to him earlier, he's like, I got 20 in the 20s and stuff. But last night he made the show again in dramatic fashion and finished 19th. He was a +5 last night too, so he couldn't complain about his run last night at Estevan.
Yeah, it was fun to see that happen last evening. We're going to see some more of that tonight. There's going to be some more competition from the Williston area that are top runners here at the Williston Basin Speedway. Time to take a look at the stock car standings through our first 3 rounds of racing. Mother Nature wins round number 1. Round number 2 and number 3 go into the books from Nodak Speedway on to Estevan last night. Here's how they shake up in the stock cars right now. At the front, Austin Brands has 79 points. He's got a 7-point cushion on 3 drivers. Shelby Williams with 72, Zach Madrid's got 72, Dan McIntoon's got 72, and then Cameron Starry's got 71. That point shuffle is going to shuffle throughout this week. However, if you can stay inside of that top 5 and run towards the front every night, you're going to give yourself a chance when it comes to Mandan. But we really are seeing something brewing here in the stock cars as far as the championship is concerned.
I think after the 3rd night of racing, I think that's when the blender, somebody's going to hit the power button. It's going to shake things up considerably. Yes, I do believe that that's going to be a hotly contested championship. Brands is in good form, like Ethan Broxma in the modifieds. We'll see what Brands can do here. I mean, the only disadvantage to him is he doesn't have a lot of experience of these racetracks, but that isn't necessarily a deal breaker for any of these drivers. And that's the great thing about this tour. You have guys here that have little to no experience, and they're able to come in here and win against guys that have over 10 championships or close to. And it just shows you how incredible the quality of cars we have here, not just tonight, the whole week.
The whole week has been stacked. The modifieds have been stacked all week long. Here's how they stand as far as the standings are concerned. Broxma, 78 points. He's at the top of the list. I said it yesterday in our pre-race show. Is anybody as fast as he is right now? He's been the bridesmaid all week long here. He was hoping for a caution last night. He didn't get that, however. Is tonight the night that he's going to finally crack the code?
Well, I mean, it's one of those deals. I think last night, again, you can't deal with what ifs or not, but what would have happened if he would have drew the 2nd row or the 3rd row? I mean, anything could happen. You have the butterfly effect put into place there, but Tom Berry Jr., there's no doubt about it, he was fast. But Ethan Broxma was able to run down Sean Strand in open racetrack after making up a considerable gap and overtake him for P2.
Tom Berry Jr. second in points. He's only 1 point back with 77. Then you've got O'Brien and T-Dub with 69 points, tied for 3rd. Eddie Bellick, 67 points, sits in 4th. And the dark horse, the local favorite, Travis Hagan, sits in 5th with 65 points, heading into round 4 here at the Williston Basin Speedway. It's about that time. We're getting closer and closer. Your closing thoughts on the pre-race show before we cue up a little motley crew and let the hammers fly tonight?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of thoughts. One, in the stock cars, Cameron Starry rising the occasion. He led the first 6 laps at Nodak Speedway before he was passed by Austin Brands, and he showed that wasn't a fluke last night. He finished 3rd in only his 2nd career tour start, his 1st career podium with the series. That's pretty impressive for the South Texas driver. Hank Berry, I think, is going to be somebody to watch. He won here in 2006. He's got the most podiums with 5 in this series, going back, of course, to 2006. 15 starts and 8 top 10s produced out of those 15 starts. Tom Berry Jr., he's got the best average as far as active drivers in the field with 4 features or more. His average finish is 5.75. Obviously the winner in 2022. His only podium here, he's got 2 top 5s in 4 career tour starts here at Williston. There's been 14 different drivers to win in the last 16 races at this facility. Hunter Marriott and Will Brack have only done it twice, so no one's did it more than 3 times. Everyone else has won once, and just to kind of keep with the modified theme, 2022, Colorado cars were pretty fast. Ricky Alvarado, he finished 2nd. Eddie Bellick was 3rd on the podium. Or pardon me, yeah, that's how that shook down. Those guys have been showing a lot of speed this year. And as far as stock cars, I think the House of Flory, this is their chance to defend some home turf. That's going to be interesting to see. Dalton Flory's got the best average, and with at least minimum 4 features, started with 4.88. He won here in 2021. He's got the most podiums with 6, but Joe Flory, He's won here twice, 2015, 2018. He's got 7 top 5s, 9 top 10s, and 11 starts, and that's the most in some of those categories. And there's been 11 different winners in 14 races. Elijah Zevenbergen, I mean, he's been the mayor of this tour when it comes to the Sunoco IMCA stock cars. But Joe Flory is the only other driver to win more than once.
I'll tell you this right now, I'm glad that I don't have to gamble any money on this to pay rent this month, because tonight is going to be a complete crapshoot. I'm ready for it. Are you, my friend?
I am. I'm really excited. I've heard a lot about this racetrack. You know, I've got a lot of people that I've watched a lot of races here. I'm excited to see what it's like to race in person. I mean, it's one thing to see it on video, but to see these racetracks in person, if you're in the Williston area, you want to be here at Williston Basin Speedway, because man, there's nothing like racing at the Basin.
Nothing like racing at the Basin, especially on a hot July night. If you're watching this pre-race show right now on social media, you still have time to get down to the Basin racetrack. If you're not in the area, you can watch tonight's entire program on imca.tv. Well, race fans, let's turn them loose. Austin Brands wins round number 1 of the stock cars. He and Shelby Williams go toe-to-toe in round number 3 last night in Estevan, Saskatchewan. It was Shelby Williams that came out on the top of the ladder. That stock car race is a doozy with 3 drivers all sitting 7 points back heading into round number 4 here at the Basin. And in the modifieds, after winning round number 1, Colin Hibden doesn't qualify for the show in a stacked field. Tom Berry Jr. takes the train right to the front of the pack and wins the $2,000, but it's been Ethan Broxma on the week that has been the bridesmaid, looking to shake down to get to the top spot. And keep in mind, your defending tour champion Tim Ward still trying to track down that elusive number 100 for IMCA modified wins. We're going to head up to the booth, and when we come back, we're going to have our opening ceremonies, because it's officially time for round number 4 of the Dakota Classic Modified Tour, powered by Industrial Electric, from here at the Williston Basin Speedway. Well, race fans, we are approaching showtime here in Williston, North Dakota. On the Williston Basin Speedway grounds, we are set and ready for round number 4 of the Dakota Classic Modified Tour, powered by Industrial Electric. I'm Nick Holberg, once again joined tonight by Mr. Ben Dethridge here on the call, and we are thrilled to be here at the Basin getting set for this 4th round of the tour. Round number 1 again rained out at Jamestown. We went to Nodak Speedway for round number 2, and let me tell you, the Nodak Speedway did not disappoint. Boy, we had bell-to-bell racing for the IMCA Modified A main. We did the same thing at Estevan last night in Estevan, Saskatchewan, Canada. And now here we are at the Basin getting set and ready for round number 4. Different song and dance tonight, however, as Mother Nature not playing as nice as she sometimes does here at the Basin. We're going to be behind schedule a bit tonight, race fans. That track prep crew doing everything that they can in their power to get the race surface where they want it here for the racing program this evening. However, the cards didn't really fall the way that they were hoping to in their gamble on how they went to prepare the racing surface tonight. That means that they're going to continue to work in this racetrack to try to get us a race surface that is sustainable for the IMCA Modifieds and stock cars here this evening. I'm going to bring in my broadcast partner all the way from Cottage Grove, Oregon. It's Mr. Ben Dethridge. Ben, we talk about that sometimes the gamble and the science and the logistics of trying to get a racetrack the way you want it on any given night, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. This isn't a loss yet. However, we're going to be behind schedule just a little bit as they continue to try to get us the race surface that they're really hoping to get here tonight.
Yeah, just a slight delay here. Shouldn't be a terrible tardiness as far as the opening ceremonies go. But as you said, racetrack prep is an imperfect science, because you've got to deal with, obviously, the amount of water you put on something, how you grade, how you till it, and then you've got other factors as far as temperature, precipitation, cloud cover. There's a lot of factors that go into it to just try and prepare a good racetrack, let alone a perfect one.
Yeah, we had this racetrack sitting earlier on here this evening, just a few short hours ago, and they were working it in with the Packers across the board coming around and around this 3/8 mile here at the Basin. And in doing so, the racetrack just wasn't where they wanted it to be. It was pretty rough, I think, would be a fair assessment. It wasn't pretty rough. It was going to be a rodeo grounds here tonight, so they went to the blade and got the big blade out, and after the blade came out, that's where we stand now as you see them continue to work this racetrack in. They're going to spread some more moisture on it, and then they're going to bring some race cars out here in just a few moments, I do believe, to try to pack this track in for tonight's race program. And again, that level of stress that everybody is under in trying to make this race surface what it needs to be for a show of this magnitude is not easy, and they all deserve a great round of applause. And an A-plus effort at least was given in the effort to try to get this done here tonight.
Sure, no doubt. And there could have been a point where it's like, my goodness, I don't know if we're going to be able to race tonight, but they put their nose to the grindstone and they put a plan together that I think is going to come through and produce. No doubt it's going to produce some good racing, and I know that these great fans that have tuned in, whether on IMCA TV or in live in person with us here at Williston Basin Speedway, they're excited to see some racing because they didn't get to last year. And we're going to be racing at the Basin here, and no doubt also you talk about pressure, challenges, these drivers as well. It's been a long week. We're only on the third race. Obviously, night one getting rained out Saturday at Jamestown, but these drivers, it's a grind already, and I'm sure many, many of them are feeling it.
Yeah, they are feeling it because 90-plus degrees today was the temperature here on the western side of North Dakota. And when you start getting into North Dakota summers and that North Dakota heat, it's not a dry heat. It's not an easy heat. 90 here is a little bit of a challenge as far as air quality and how dense it can feel, and that humidity here as well. So that becomes a factor with the fatigue level that starts to set in.
Well, we had some clouds blow in, too. That upped the humidity just a bit as well, and it's definitely been all over the place as far as the weather's been concerned, but the sun's breaking through. We've got gorgeous weather, gorgeous scenery here at this racetrack.
Yeah, this place is fantastic, and if it comes through tonight, we know that we're going to be in store for a good one. I will guarantee you this, it's not going to be as smooth as Estevan or Minot was in round number 2 or number 3. Now, with that being said, what that means from time to time and going back to the track and what we can expect here tonight, for the fans' sake, that makes things pretty interesting. That's going to turn things into a little bit more of an MMA fight versus a boxing match, if you will. However, for the drivers and tying it all together back to them on a hot day already, there's going to be a workout inside the cockpit for most of these guys trying to qualify for the show.
Well, and I'm excited just to see some racing here. I said it in the pre-race show, and I'll say it again, is I watched a lot of races on IMCA, Darn TV, with the great coverage that they have of this facility. Watched the Tougher Than Dirt series. And there have been 4 races here that have featured the 2 divisions that are in action tonight, the Frisian Performance IMC Modifieds and Sunoco IMC Stock Cars. In both divisions, 3 different winners in 4 features. Travis Hagen, the only repeat winner in the Frisian Performance IMC Modifieds, and Joe Flory in the Sunoco IMC Stock Cars.
Yeah, Joe Flory on the racetrack right now in the red 20 machine. His son, Dalton Flory, is on the racetrack parading around under the caution lights as we work this racetrack in. Stock Cars being asked to help pack this racetrack surface in for tonight's program. Dalton Flory was a Tour winner back in 2014. He was a young man, only 18 years old at that time when he did that in 2014. And Flory's a guy that certainly is no stranger to victory lane on the Mod Tour as well. He's got 6 Tour wins in feature events. So look for Dalton Flory to defend the home turf tonight with his dad, Joe, here at the Williston Basin Speedway. But there's other runners here as well that are going to be tough to beat, including the Mad One, Mad Mike Hagan, multiple track championships here at the Williston Basin Speedway. And Mad Mike's a guy that had a good run on Sunday night at Nodak Speedway. Had some bad luck, got tangled up with Adam Goff at Estevan last night, but I would expect Mad Mike Hagan to come back with a vengeance on his home surface.
Yeah, it's just the nature of the beast. We talked about in the pre-race show with a guy like Colin Hibden. You go out, you crack off a win in round number 1, and unfortunately you don't qualify out of a consolation feature in night number 2. And there's going to be a lot of spirited warriors, we'll just say, that are going to be trying to just punch their way, get the hard work done early in those heat races. Obviously, you want to make the redraw, but most of all, you want to win the heat race because that absolutely guarantees you a spot in the main event.
Yeah, this is how we're going to shake them down here tonight. The program will run like this. After we prep the race surface with packing from the stock cars, we will have our opening ceremonies. We'll have modifieds that will run first tonight, 5 heats of modifieds, followed by 3 heats of stock cars, so 8 heat races on the evening. Those modifieds will have the top 5 go right into the main event. How do we get the top 5? Well, you win your heat race. The first one to the checkered stripe will be the winner of the heat. They will be the ones that go right into the redraw and into tonight's big event. After that, we're going to take the top 7 in passing points. And how passing points works is pretty simple. As many cars as you pass is as many points as you're going to rack up. The driver that's got the most passing points when it's all said and done goes right into the A-main tonight as well on the redraw and a chance to be in the top 6. The top 3 will actually do that from the top 9 in passing points for the stock cars that will go into the A-main completely. And in the modifieds, we'll have 5 drivers that won their heat races, plus the 7 that have the most passing points. Of those 7, we'll take the top 3 into the redraw for tonight's 8-driver redraw for the modified. 6 will be in the redraw for the stock cars here at the Williston Basin Speedway. That will give us 12 drivers for the modifieds and 12 drivers from the stock cars. After the redraw, we'll go into the modified B mains, and we'll have 2 of those. So 6 modifieds will come out of the first, 6 will come out of the second. That will set our field for tonight's main event of the evening, the modified A main. The stock cars won't have a B main tonight. Everybody that's here is going to go right into the main event portion of the money round for the stock cars. How they're going to determine their starting position tonight will depend on the amount of passing points that they will accumulate during their heat race here this evening. So we'll have stocks and then mods to end things tonight at the Williston Basin Speedway in round 4 before we head down to Dickinson and Southwest Speedway tomorrow night for round number 5, and then we'll cap it off with our championship round down at Dakota Speedway in Mandan, North Dakota, coming up on Thursday. Your energy level seems high right now. How are you doing? I mean, do you put on a good front, or are you the Iron Man like Marcus Tomlinson?
I'm hanging in there. I'm pacing myself. We had a great lunch at Dog Holiday. That was a great stop. I love the metal statues that they had of the bison herd with the riders on a buffalo hunt. Super cool. They had Tombstone playing. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I enjoyed that time with you today. That was a good meal. It was kind of like the Blackbeards yesterday up in Estevan. That's fantastic stuff as well. You know what we should have done? Jed's up here. Jed Ravinius, the scorer here in Minot and in Williston. We were on the Tough for the Dirt tour, and we went to the casino right down the road. Jen got a big smile just now and said, "You didn't take him to the casino?" Jen, I'm never going back to that casino. Thank you very much. I don't think I need to revisit that place anytime soon.
You won too much money, right?
Yeah,
they threw you out.
Yeah, when you have to fill out all those tax forms, it's fantastic to try to make that happen. Not a fun thing by any means. Hey, by the way, we're interactive here on Facebook and on the World Wide Web tonight. We're going to have some time before the race program here this evening, race fans, so feel free to reach out to us on the Dakota Classic Modified Tour and the live look-in on IMCA.tv. There's plenty watching right now. We're going to open up the hotline right now, if you will. If you've got questions or comments that you'd like to have answered, you've got an encyclopedia up here on the race call, and Ben Deathridge, he knows more about the stats and numbers of all these drivers and everybody across the country racing across the IMCA platform, probably that most people. I mean, you're not quite giving Ryan Clark all he can handle, but you're giving him a pretty darn good run, my friend. Nice job here this week, by the way.
Thank you. If I can be compared to Ryan Clark, that's an honor. Ryan's a guy that I really look up to with all his amazing information, and of course Virginia and Bill are a great amount of wealth at the IMCA home office with it. All the questions that I have of who's who's won championships at this racetrack, or is there an old article somewhere or old results page that I can take a peek at and enter some data. So definitely a wonderful group of people.
Yeah, the amount of work put in this week by so many people has really been fantastic and fun to be a part of. And the crew assembled by IMCA TV and the Dakota Classic Modified Tour, from top to bottom, everybody involved is really done a fantastic job. And I'm telling you, there's no better time in the summer in North Dakota if you're a dirt track fan than this week right here, the Dakota Classic Modified Tour. Is it everything that you thought it would be coming all the way from the West Coast?
I think it's more. I read about it and watched it on IMCA TV last year, but to actually be here, boots on the ground, and experience it, you get the meaning. And a lot of that goes with being in victory lane with these drivers at the end of the night and just seeing that emotion, just seeing it just overtake them completely. And that is just so moving and so awesome, because that shows you how important it is to win with this series. I mean, it is tough. Something that we didn't really discuss too much, but we touched on lightly is Nodak. We started out on Central Time. Last night we were on Mountain Time. We're back on Central Time, but we're going to go back to Mountain Time tomorrow, and then we go back to Central Time on Thursday. For us, that are traveling down the road along with a lot of these teams, 7 o'clock when you wake up isn't 7 o'clock where you're going. So you have to adjust an hour or so, or sometimes you have the luxury of maybe getting to sleep in an extra hour, because sleep, Nick, as you know, it is an absolute premium.
Yeah, it really does become quite a grind. Well, people are checking in on the Facebook Live feed. Make sure to give that a like and share as we get ready for the opening ceremonies tonight. A few fans checking in. T-Dub fan out there, Jason Walla, making an appearance here tonight. That's an exciting thing for the people in this area. Jason, right up the road here in western North Dakota, and he is a contender big time anytime he comes to the racetrack. Not racing as much as maybe the 2017 National Championship season. However, when the big show shows up, the show just gets that much bigger. We're excited to have him tonight as well here, Travis, without question.
He's going rest of the way. I talked to him earlier, and they're going to be at Dickinson tomorrow, and, of course, Mandan on Thursday. Be sure also, when you're on these live look-ins, let us know where you're tuning in from, because it's always cool to see. It's not just in the Midwest area. It's all around the world that people are tuning in.
Well, if you love dirt track, then you love IMCA racing, and for good reason. It's some of the best that you're going to see. The action on dirt at IMCA TV brings it to you where America comes to watch racing. And don't forget, we know all you Canadians out there and our friends that were up at Estevan and across Saskatchewan and Manitoba and wherever you may be in the Great White North, you're welcome to come and join us each and every time on IMCA TV. Race fans, we are going to be back with another live look-in coming your way tonight on Facebook. However, I'm telling you, the first 2 nights of this tour have been worth the price of admission on IMCA TV, so we hope you join us live here tonight for round number 4 at the Williston Basin Speedway for the Dakota Classic Modified Tour, powered by Industrial Electric. That will do it for our live look-in on Facebook. That means it's officially time to kick this program off. Williston, North Dakota, who's ready for the Mod Tour tonight? You guys could do better than that, can't you? I said, who's ready?